Are you scared of knitting socks? I've got a pattern that will change all that. Come and cast on with me. So let's start off. We're going to work the cuff of your sock and then the part of the leg here. And we're going to work in the round using magic loop, and I'm going to show you how. I have cast on 40 stitches. It doesn't matter how you cast on, use your favourite cast on method. And we're going to start by using the magic loop to knit around in a circle. So first thing I'm going to do is to separate 20 stitches from this end here. 2, 4, 6, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20. And I'm going to slide those stitches around to the cable and then pull the cable through so that those 20 stitches are sitting on the second needle. And this is the way, this is a bit of a tough cable, this is the way we're going to work in the magic loop. So this part here is our magic loop, and you need to work with your working yarn attached to the back needle. Now this is really important for working these socks, so that you get your stitches around the right way. So split into 20 and 20 with the working yarn at the back. So what we're going to do is to bring this needle round here to start knitting. So I'm going to slide this needle from the back, slide the stitches onto the cable, bring it round to the front, and using the working yarn that's attached to the ball, slide these stitches up, and we're going to knit the first stitch here. So I'm going to knit this first stitch, and when you do, try and keep it nice and tight so that we're attached now. So I'm going to bring the yarn round to the front of the work to purl, because we're going to do a knit purl rib, and then start working in the rib, knit one, purl one, until you come to the end of these 20 stitches. Okay, so here's the last stitch on the needle, which is a purl. Now when you've knitted those 20 stitches, we're going to turn the work so that you have got your working yarn at the back, and these stitches are sitting on a cable at the front. So I'm going to now push this cable back through so that the stitches on the bottom closest to you are going to come onto the bottom needle, so you've got them facing each other again, and the working yarn at the back. And then I'm going to pull the back needle around to the front to knit these stitches here. So I'm going to pull it round, and then we start again. This is a knit stitch, so we just knit until you've knitted the next 20 stitches on the needle. So I've just knitted the last stitch, so I'm going to turn the work around again, straighten up your stitches and pull the cable through, and then I'm going to push this needle back through the stitches. Now you will notice that you could end up with a bit of a little baggy bit in the middle here. Don't worry about that, this join, because once you've finished you can tighten that up, or you can, as you keep knitting, you'll notice that that tightens up. So I'm now going to do the next row. So remember, the working yarn is at the back. I'm going to bring this needle round to the front to knit the next row. So I'm going to pull the cable round, pick up the yarn and carry on knitting the rib, and in a row or two you'll see the rib coming. I'm at the last stitch again now, so I'm going to purl that one, and I'll just show you one more time. So we turn the work, make sure your working yarn is sitting at the back, pull the cable through your stitches at the front so that we're sitting at this front needle ready to knit, and then pull the back needle round to the front. So now keep working in the round until you have 10 rows of rib. So here we are, I've got 1 row of the rib to go. I just wanted to show you how much easier things get when you've got a bit of knitting behind you. So the stitches are moving much more easily on the needles now because we're a few rows in. So I'll just show you one more time. We have the working yarn sitting on this back needle. Then I'm going to pull that needle round and work the rib on the front needle. Just simple knit and purl as we go along. And then when I get to the end of these 20 stitches, we'll turn the work and just show you again. So that's the last row of rib, and I'm just going to push our bottom needle in. Now the next thing we're going to do is to start the leg of the sock. So I'll just show you on this little sample here. So we've worked the rib for 10 rows, and now we're just going to actually work just a simple knit stitch. And because we're working in the round, it translates, it comes up as stocking stitch or stockingette, and I'll show you how. So back to our cuff here, I'm going to take the yarn over the back of the working needle like we were before, bring that needle round to the front. Now, and this is where it's important that you've got this set up correctly with this working yarn at the back. When I start knitting, just good old knit stitch, you will see, so just plain knitting, and then when you get to the end of your 20 stitches, we turn the work. Make sure that your working yarn is just sitting there at the back. Pull the needle through, push it through the stitches, and bring the back needle around the front. So you're knitting in a loop, and then just carry on with a plain knit stitch. Now, for my short sock, I worked in this particular yarn 14 rows of knit stitch. Now, if you're knitting a long sock like Alice's original pattern, you just carry on knitting until the sock is as long as you want it to be. So you can see just the plain stocking stitch is just beginning to form here. If you want to, if you'll find it will help you, you might want to put a stitch marker just in this stitch, which is, actually on the other side, the first stitch of the round. I usually keep an eye on this bottom cast on thread to work out where I am, but you can always pop a stitch marker in there. And so what you end up with in this little pink example is 14 rows of stockingette or stocking stitch as your leg part, with the working yarn still at the back there and your magic loop over here. So in the next video I'll show you how to work the heel flap and turn the heel.